Time now for an in-depth look at the market news this afternoon, and for that I'm joined on the line by Dr. Jun-sok, professor of economics at the Catholic University of Korea. Professor Yang, thanks for making time today. Good to have you back on.
Happy to be here.
Well, the global shortage of semiconductors has prompted a response from the White House. They'll be holding a meeting with industry leaders tonight, Korea time. Samsung will be taking part, actually, but that could put Korea, some say, in a difficult position considering America's tensions with China. What do you say to that? And tell us about the Semiconductor Summit, Professor.
Okay, well, if you note who is invited to this summit, it obviously involves the IT companies like Google, Apple, Dell, Micron. It also involves semiconductor makers, Samsung, and from Taiwan, TSMC, Global Foundries, Intel, which also makes manufactures semiconductors. Some of their factories are in the United States. But also interesting is that they invited the automobile makers, GM and Ford, which is experiencing some production problems right now because of lack of semiconductors. So from the summit, there's probably going to be some specific automobile industry results and general results as well. For the specific automobile concerns. Automobile production has been in some problems right now because they do not have enough specialized semiconductors for their automobiles. Now, the problem, though, only partly deals with production capacity. The reason that these automobile companies are suffering the lack of chips is that at the beginning of last year when we got hit by the coronavirus, because these automobile manufacturers expected production to decline, they didn't order enough chips. Now, what happens this year is that they have extra demand, partially because of the coronavirus payments, relief payments, and partially because the richer segment of the population actually started demanding more cars, that they suddenly got a need for more semiconductors, but the semiconductor manufacturers will not produce additional chips because, well, these automobile chips are lower tech and lower profit margins. So they do not want to give up the production that they have scheduled already. So that's going to be addressed, probably going to be addressed in this meeting. More generally, the United States wants a reliable and more secure supply chain, and they want more investment in the United States for semiconductor production capacity. And because Samsung and TSMC together form about 70% of the fabrication capacity worldwide, President Biden is probably going to pressure them to building more factories in the United States, as well as guaranteeing safety, separation, security from China, and more secure and more stable supply to the United States. So it's a mix. There's going to be good news for TSMC and Samsung, I think, because the U.S. is going to offer a lot of investment incentives. For Korea, I think the result is going to be more mixed because if you have more production capacity in the United States, that probably will mean less production capacity in Korea. And obviously, this will be probably be bad news for China because not only will they have more competitors abroad, but the chances of them getting the newest technology will be reduced by the summit.
Well, we'll look forward to reporting on that later in the week. Professor, stocks in New York ended last week with a nice gain, with the Fed reaffirming it's sticking to its monetary easing policy. The S&P and the Dow both closing at record highs. Tell us what's happening in the global markets and what you see ahead this week.
Okay, well, U.S. had a lot of good news last week. March employment report had a very good result, 917,000 jobs plus. U.S. growth was expected to be somewhere between 6.5 to 77%, and vaccination of the U.S. population is at about 25% of the population. So all of those good news probably meant that Dow helped Dow and S&P record record highs on Friday, but there may be a bit of a profit taking because the futures for today seems to be going down, so they'll probably end up a bit lower today. Europe, it's following the U.S. It's rising. The Euro Stock 600, which is an index of most popular European stocks, hit an all-time high. FTSE of UK fell on Friday, but it still had the best weekly performance since January. On the other hand, Asia, it was not that good a week. Nikkei was falling today, and Shanghai and Hong Kong was falling today as well. The reasons for that differ. They point out coronavirus and earnings report, which is supposed to come out this week and next week.
And Korean stocks today were up and down, but strength in tech shares led to a nice gain for the KOSDAQ. The Kospi more subdued. Tell us about the local markets.
Okay, well, even though the Kospi was subdued today, it ended today at 3,135.59, up 0.12%. That comes very close to record closing high of 3,160, which was recorded in January. And in April, foreigners bought 2 trillion won worth of stocks already. And the interesting thing is 4 out of the 5 largest stocks that were bought by foreigners were actually tech stocks: Samsung, Hynix, Kakao, and SK Telecom. So analysts are optimistic that foreigners will lead the recovery of IT stocks in Korea. KOSDAQ, on the other hand, did unambiguously better. It ended today over 1,000 at 1,000.65, and it's over the 1,000 line for the first time in 20 years and 7 months. The last time it hit more than 1,000 was September 14th, 2000 at 1,020.70.
That's quite the record, Professor. Well, looking ahead, we'll have a lot of data coming out this week on the Korean economy, including jobs and on the financial markets, that coming from the Bank of Korea. What's on your radar in the week ahead?
Well, the most important meeting for Korea will be BOK, Bank of Korea Monetary Policy Committee meeting, which is meeting on Thursday. They'll probably put the interest rate on hold, but how they evaluate the economy will be, I think, more important. On the U.S. side, CPI inflation is due to come out on Tuesday. It'll tell us about the concerns about inflation, whether they'll be realized. U.S. retail sales and University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index will also come out this week, and they will tell us whether the U.S. is on the solid path of recovery or whether the recovery may be a flash in the pan.
Got it. All right, Professor, we'll have to leave it there for today. Thank you, as always, for coming on, and we'll catch up again later in the week.
Thank you.